Choose the one that went something like this.
Here, who is that snoring in that frock?
That's the new sound.
Is it Fender?
It's Neddy. He thinks he's the Queen of England.
Hackers, let us play a game and push him down the well.
Yeah.
He's falling in the water.
Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the Goons, or at least two of them, Spike, Urkel's, Milligan, and from Highway Sahari, Neddy Segoon, Secombe. It was still funny, that. It's still funny, isn't it?
We didn't see it. We were behind the thing.
Yeah. Can you two still, can you get on with each other? Do you still bear the sight of each other?
Yes, it's still fun.
A finger.
Stop pointing, Jim.
Stop pointing, Jim.
Yes, he's lovely. He's lovely.
Yeah.
He hasn't altered
Get
at
on
all.
all right.
Yeah.
Still.
What?
The pair of you.
He's deaf. Who is he?
Oh, you fat giggling fool, you.
Do you remember your first meeting?
Yes.
Well, tell us about it.
I don't remember it.
I'll tell you about it then.
Tell him about it.
It was in North Africa.
I don't want to catch it.
We happen to be on the same side, you know.
He's been on my back ever since.
And he was in the 7.2 gun howitzer regiment, and we were in the 25-pounder regiment, and we had to dig gun pits for them. And unfortunately, the gun pits we dug weren't big enough. So when they moved in on a night occupation, the gun was fired on a lanyard, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was a big gun, and I had to pull the lanyard, and because it was a very dangerous gun, we used to move away like this. And when we pulled it, the bloody thing disappeared over a cliff. Right down among his tents. And I had to go down with a lantern saying, "Have you seen a 7.2 cannon?" And he said, "What colour?"
Yeah. You met up afterwards, and you started as crazy people. Is that what you called yourself first?
Yeah, well, the BBC thought we were crazy.
Yeah.
They were the craziest. They bought it, you know, really.
Those crazy people, the junior crazy guy.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And you
Mind
decided...
you, there was some extraordinary things happening, like one night I used to live in the flat opposite Peter's Cellars, and I thought I'll put myself in rags with a 3-day growth of beard and a tray of matches. And I woke him up at 3 in the morning, and I said, "Is anybody interested in the thriving wood and sulphur industry?" So he didn't think that was funny. I went back to bed, and an hour later there was a knock on my door, and he was standing there stark naked and said, "Do you know a good tailor?"
It changed into the Goons. Whose idea was to call it the Goons?
It was me, actually.
Yeah. But what did you base that on?
There's Popeye's cartoon. Remember the Goons?
The Goons, What made it such a success, Harry?
I think it was young people's humour, and because we didn't come from a show business background, any of us. I think Peter did, didn't he? But the four of us originally. I mean, Spike and
Four of you
Mike,
or four of me?
Two of me and one of you. So we were iconoclastic. We were chopping away at the feet of the old established comedy, I suppose. Yeah. And because it was different, I think all the youngsters appreciated it. You know, I'm all over that. So,
and the sound effects. You went to great lengths to get those right.
Yeah, I remember one particular time, he wanted the sound of somebody being hit by a sock full of custard. So he went out, none of the effects seemed to work. So he went up to the a canteen at the Camden. There was a canteen up there. And he said to the little Scots lady behind the counter, he said, I want an egg custard. Right, you asked Spike. She thought he had a bad stomach. So he went up 20 minutes later to get it, and she prepared it lovingly in this little earthenware bowl with nutmeg sprinkled on the top. Thank you, he said. He took his sock off and spooned the custard in. Then I went to make this effect. It didn't work. It didn't work. No. So he finished up with a sock full of custard. Yeah. And no sound effect.
And never wore those socks again?
Oh, yes, he did.
Did you know any Goon characters? I mean, you based them on anybody that you knew?
Mortimer
Were they
Snerd.
figments of your imagination?
Mortimer Snerd, I based Eccles on that, was Mortimer Snerd.
Yeah.
But Blue Bottle was a character that Mike Benteen sent along to us, wasn't he? Remember?
Yeah, he's a very tall, thin scout. And it had kind of voice like
With his
that.
beard.
And he talked like that.
Do you think he ever recognised himself when he was listening to the
I think he's
radio?
quite proud of it, actually.
Yeah.
What were your favourite Goon characters, or your favourite Goon?
Mine was Bloodknock. I loved Bloodknock. I loved him most of all.
Yeah.
Peter used to do that, yeah.
I still love, I think I liked Blue Bottle and Eccles best. But then there were two characters, Mr. Lalcock and Mr. Banerjee.
Oh, my God, if. Terrible things are.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the third member of the Goons has passed away.
He's no longer with us.
Sometime, not with this,
In
but
fact, he's no longer with anybody.
what do you think? What do you think is that's Peter Sellers again? What do you think?
Black humour, folks.
What do you
Black
think?
humour.
What's the black humour? What do you think his greatest contribution was?
Well, the voices, I mean, the characters he created. And if you stood next to him, I mean, originally we had one microphone, and I was so fat they couldn't get round me, so they, they gave us three. And you stood next to him, and he became the characters. I mean, he blew himself up for Bloodknock, and he shrank for Blue Bottle, and he became wizened for Crum. A tremendous thing to watch, really.
Very uncanny man, very strange man. I remember, it's another story about him. At 3 o'clock one morning, the phone went, so I couldn't use that. And it was Peter, and he said, will you come round right away? I said, well, I'm not unconscious. What do you mean, come round? He said, bit late, hurry up. See you in the end. And he said, please come round right away. So I thought he was having trouble with one of his wives. One was leaving, or one was coming in, or they both collided. Both collided. So I just put my overcoat over my pyjamas. I got my mini minor. When I drove there, he was sitting outside. It's just 3 in the morning, winter time, snow on the ground. And the engine running. I said, what's this? He said, look, this is a brand new Rolls Royce. I said, you could have told me that on the phone. I'd have believed you. He said, no, look, he said, there's a squeak in the boot. I said, yes. He said, well, look, you should take this piece of chalk and this torch, and I want you to get in the boot, and I'm going to drive it up and down the street, and when you hear a squeak, you can't make these stories up, they've got to happen, right? He said, make a little cross. So I thought, well, so I got in, stand good, and he drove this Rolls Royce up and down on the pavements like this to shake the springs. The police must have seen him, because I heard a car pull up, and then crunch of gravel, and then suddenly, I don't know how you'd feel, but a policeman shone his torch on me in the boot. And he said, oh, it's you.
Wonderful to talk to you, and a marvellous, marvellous...
Yes, well, a man can't have everything. I mean, where would he put it?
There's no answer to that.
But we must thank Spike Milligan and Harry Secombe. Thank you. And finally, a tribute to the great days of radio would be complete without some reference to these dulcet tones.
Television.